Hey everybody, in this video I'm showing you Module 4, Multi-Part Studios, and I'm showing you how to create a master sketch. So let's get started. Number one, we're going to make a new document, and I'm going to call this Onshape 4, and this is master sketch. Press OK. Alright, and it says the first step, sketch on the front plane, rename to master sketch in millimeters. So let's do all of that. First, my units, 2 millimeters. Let's go ahead and set our mass to kilograms too, just in case for later. Making a new sketch on the front plane. I'm going to go ahead and close out of this first so I can rename that sketch right away, because it doesn't let me rename it on the iPad within the sketch. Master sketch. Okay, now we can go back and edit that sketch. View normal to sketch plane. Okay, step 2, a lot of constraints here. I'm going to start by making this horizontal line, and then we'll make these other lines. Notice it's not perpendicular here. Those lines are equal, perpendicular there, a midpoint, and symmetric. So a lot of geometric constraints here, and they're all construction lines. So opening my sketch tool, I'm going to make a line that's construction. I'll make my big horizontal construction line to start. I'm going to turn the line tool off, then back on, just so I can make my other lines next. So I'm going to make the top line first, just at some angle. From there, I'm going to make sure I go through the origin, just down a ways. Let's actually put it off a little bit so we can fix that later. Okay, from there then, from the origin, let's go ahead and make those bottom perpendicular lines. So from, still have my line tool on. There we go. From the origin, down, and perpendicular, so make sure it snaps to that spot. Let's add some constraints then. So we wanted first to make those 3 lines equal. So let's select those 3 lines. That one, and that one. In the sketch menu, there's equal. Next, it said that origin is supposed to be the midpoint of that line. So let's put that point at the middle of that line, right there, and the midpoint's right there. Awesome. So next is the symmetric constraint. So that point, and the horizontal line, symmetric. And what that does is just makes them mirror images across each other now. So like if I click and drag this point down, see how they always stay lined up with each other? That's what we want. Notice again too that my top angle here is not perpendicular. If yours is, best way to fix it, close out of it, restart, or just undo until that line is not perpendicular. Okay, so we've got our perpendicular, equal, horizontal, symmetry, and midpoint. Let's move on. Step 3, we're sketching a bunch of circles labeled as A and B. All A are equal, all B are equal. Alright, so it looks like we just have a little circle and a big circle on each. This one's going to take a little bit. We want to make all the little ones equal, then all the big ones equal, and then we'll worry about the size afterwards. So I'm going to make just all of my little circles first. There's 1. 2, 3. So we've got to put one on each corner, or each vertex. 4. Oh, misclicked. 5 and 6. Now let's make big ones. Again, as long as you get them close enough in size for now, it's good enough, because we're going to be adding a constraint to make them all the same size here in a little bit. Just so we can visibly see big and small. They can overlap, it's okay for now. Okay, now we got to select, I'm going to select all of my small ones first. So that circle, and that circle, and that circle, that circle, 5 and 6. Make them all equal. Now we do the big ones. Again, if you're on a computer, you can probably do this a little bit faster, but that's not the point of these videos, is showing you how to do it on the iPad. My big circles, sketches, equal. And if you notice, they actually pulled to the size of whatever the first circle was that you clicked. Okay, step 4. Adding some dimensions now. So it looks like we're going to have quite a bit constrained here afterwards. So let's see what we get. So I'm going to do my diameters first. Little circle. Oh, did I miss a step? I sure did. So on these circles, notice the big circle is not circle B. Let me actually undo that last equal step, because we only wanted the 5 circles to be equal. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Yeah, that's what we wanted. Those should be equal. Sorry about that. Okay, notice this big circle I can still change separate from the others. Okay, now let's go on to step 4. So big circle has a diameter of 50. Smallest circles are 10, medium circles are 25. All right. Next, we've got the length of that line, or from point to point there, vertex to vertex, is 75. And remember, we made all 3 of those lines the same length. So let's just dimension at the same spot, though, just so we keep things consistent. That should be 75. Looking good. Then we've got 175 for the length of the long line. So I'm actually going to go from vertex to vertex, just in case for some reason it's accidentally set as 2 lines. Oh, not vertical. We want that angled distance. That should be 175. And that looks like all the dimensions, right? We've got 5. It looks pretty similar to mine right now. Only other little thing is that my center line here isn't quite as long as the other one. We could drag it and make it bigger if we really wanted to. All right, step 5. Lots of constraints here that we're adding. An extra line. So it looks like we're making new lines, not any dimensions. We're just making a shape around this top claw piece with lots of tangent vertices and making things horizontal to each other. So what I'm going to start with is this very top. Let's move this so it's out of the way a little. I'm going to draw a line, and I'm going to draw it kind of exaggerated to start to make it very much not tangent. So a line. I'm going to maybe put it like down here and up there. Turn it off, turn it back on, and do the same. From there to maybe there. Be careful that it's not adding any extra constraints that you don't want, right? So now we'll go, oh, didn't turn my line tool off. Other one. Notice again, these lines are not, oh, that's constrained like I don't want it to. Again, you got to be careful with it. Not at the origin, off a little bit. If you notice, it's a bunch of separate lines, right? Each time I'm turning my line tool off and on, they're not connected in any way. They're not constrained to the origin. Just be very careful that you're not over constraining anything on this. This one does not go all the way to the corner, it just goes up somewhere. And that one just goes back like that. So there's my lines, and now we're going to add a whole bunch of tangent vertices around. So to do that, oh, still have my line tool on. I'm going to click on a vertex and the circle. Go into my sketch menu, tangent. Where is tangent? There it is. Oh, let's do the line. Let's do the line and the circle. See if that fixes it. Tangent. There it goes. Line and circle, tangent. See how it's making it a nice, much smoother surface here? Alright, same thing here. line, circle, tangent. And based on how you drew the lines, you might have gotten away with doing it all automatically. I'm just going the extra step to make sure that everything is exactly how I want it to be. Line and circle. Again, tangent. Alright, we're almost there. We have to do all 4 of those yet too, right? Yep. There's an additional constraint there that says those top 2 points are horizontal. We'll talk about that here in a second once we're done with all of our tangent constraints. Two more. Alright, so now we have to make a horizontal, because actually what happens here is if we drew a line between those points, that line would be perfectly horizontal. So let's add that in. So what we can do is, if I click on those 2 points, and I say to be horizontal, pulls them in. And as soon as I did that, you notice how a ton of dimensions just turned black? So we are on a roll now. We can change some things right now. Like if I click, like say this circle, can I slide this at all? I bet we could change our angle in some way. So let's bounce back here. It looks pretty much the same. Looks like some of my circles are not constrained like I had hoped. Can we investigate why they're still blue? We'll come back to it and see what's going on here in a little bit. It looks like my equal constraint might not have gone through, because some of these are not 10 anymore. Yeah, they're all off a little, so let's see if we can't add back that equal constraint. I wonder if when I undid the other one, it undid these as well. Let's see, so I'm just clicking on all the circles again. Yours might have already done this. I think when I went to undo to fix my big circle, my little circles lost their equal constraint. There they go. Now they're all black. Only thing that's blue is that inner line and then the point at the end there, which looks to be the same. Okay, next. We're adding a parallel constraint between the indicated lines, so the center line and there. And then we need to add a tangent constraint to making that line tangent there. So we're defining the endpoints here. So one more tangent constraint being this line and this circle. And so you can basically imagine if that line did extend all the way, that it would touch just at the one point. Then it said this line and this one should be parallel to each other. Alright, fully constrained. If it bugs you because you saw that one blue point, you could dimension this line if you really wanted to, this construction line, just so that it is fully constrained. You don't have to. Let's make it 130. Sure, it doesn't make a difference. Now we're fully constrained. Alright, so now we got to add a couple extra lines. We got to do the same on the bottom because we don't have anything for this bottom hook figured out. Notice it's tangent and it looks pretty much the same. Doesn't say anything about a horizontal constraint here, so we'll have to look out for that. Alright, so sketching, making lines, and we are going from the circle down to some spot, watching our constraints, right? Then from the circle, from that point up to the circle, turn the line tool back off. From the circle to the other circle, turn the line tool off between. Keep missing that. Alright, so from the circle to the circle, watching your constraints again, gotta be careful. All it wants to do is snap. I think it actually made that tangent for me already. We'll have to check. Yeah, let me actually zoom in a little because this is only trying to snap and I don't want it to. There we go. Alright, so those 4 lines. Tangent at the circle there, tangent at the circle there, tangent at the circle there. So we've got a bunch to add. My line tool is still on once again. So from the So it said total 6, and I think I might have some already, so we'll just keep an eye on it. All right, it looks like this one already is tangent. Let's just make sure. What we could actually do is if we look at just this single point, we can see over here on the side, looks like that point is coincident, but if we click on the line, because right, a line is tangent, not a point. It's got 2 tangent constraints down here, so we know it's good. So what do we need to do with this line? Looks like it's tangent at both spots, and that's all we know so far. So let's see what the next slide says. Making parallel and tangent. And again, it doesn't look like those are supposed to be horizontal. So just like the other one, we're going to make this line parallel to this line. And then I'm going to make this line tangent to this circle. There it goes. All black lines, fully constrained, nice and happy. Let's see what's next. Alright, so we're making fillets on those inside bends with a radius of 15 millimeters, and let's do that first before we go into those other circles. So it said that point and that point, we want to add a fillet. So I clicked on those vertices, and I want to do a sketch fillet. Oh, okay, so we got to do it after the fact. I wanted that point at 15 millimeters. Let's just go ahead and put another one in right there. It automatically did it for me, already at 15 millimeters. Great. We can turn that back off. Next, 4 little circles, all equal. They're going to be used to make pins later on. So it looks like the 3 on the main axis and then 1 at the bottom. And it doesn't give us a diameter yet. I'm guessing, yep, that's the next step. So 4 more circles. This is a long part, that's for sure. Oh, we gotta click on the origin. Circle. Circle. 3 and 4. All right. So next, let's make all of those equal. So we just got to select those 4 circles. Remember, if you accidentally misclick something or you have something selected that you don't want selected, you can tap it once to deselect it, or if you double tap the screen, it deselects everything. All right, those 4 circles, we want them all to be equal. And then we wanted them, the next step said, to be a diameter of 15 millimeters. Just like that. Okay, so now we added that dimension. Sketch is fully constrained, everything is happy. We can now finish this sketch and then validate our measure. So we are out of the sketch now. It looks a lot like theirs. So it said to select these 3 areas and check your measure. So let's see if we've got that correct. I'm going to click on the measure tool. It says my area is 8,300 millimeters. Let's see if that's an option in this self-check. 8,300, 8,301.195, that's exactly the same, so I think we've got it. We are good. So that's how we did the multi-part studios master sketches.